this is my review of My Hero Academia. Okay, so in this episode, we're met with another 2 members of the 8 Bullets, who I'll get into in a minute. And also, the hero group is slowly making their way through the Hasaikai headquarters to get to Eri. So, but they do take a bit of a detour to fight two of the 8 Bullets. So here's the thing. They're going through, and they eventually realize that Mimic isn't able to control the whole building. More accurately, he can move his body around within the building, and where he is where he's able to control. And they eventually realize that he most likely will have to peek out a little bit so that they can actually disable his quirk. So, which is what Aizawa is hoping on. Meanwhile, Sameki hasn't shown up yet because he passed out due to the effort it took to take down 3 villains by himself. And he wore himself out by fighting and by just sheer exhaustion of himself. So he wears himself. So he's able to completely and utterly neutralize the heroes using a neurotoxin that he points out won't kill them, but they won't be feeling very good for a while. So, but in any case, it's okay for him to take a nap. So he's fine. But the other hero, Deku and Kirishima begin to question why he hasn't shown up yet and begin to worry for him. But Fat Gum points out that they need to just have faith, and Kirishima points out that he'll keep faith because he believes Tamaki can handle himself. And sure enough, they continue to go through the facility. Meanwhile, Bubble Girl and the other psychics who helped round up the Yakuza that attacked them when they first came in, begin to drill them for some questions about how the Yakuza operates and why they decided to attack them. And the Yakuza reveal that they're actually more scared of Overhaul than they are of the police. So, here's the thing. The Shiya Hasaikai used to be a proper Yakuza. It wasn't always the villainous evil team thing that it is now. And the boss actually believed in chivalry and looking after their fellow Yakuza and stuff like that, and that the Yakuza needed to mean something. And it did. It used to. But then the boss got sick, and now Overhaul's in charge, and he basically turned everything into a much more elaborate villain agency. That's all the Shiya Hasaikai stands for now. But also they're a little bit scared of him because he's the kind of guy who has no regrets and will do whatever he wants. So they're a little bit scared of him because he's basically just gonna do anything he wants without the regard of anybody else. So everybody's just a little bit scared of him. But in any case, it cuts back to the heroes going through the maze of hallways as they try to find Eri's room. And they're immediately attacked by Mimic, who tries to take Eraser out of the fight first, so that he's actually unable to erase his quirk. And he almost succeeds, but then Fat Gum and unknowingly Kirishima jump in front of him and push him out of the way, which causes them to get knocked into another room, where they face off against Kendo Rappa and Taijiri Taijai, and 2 members of the 8 Bullets. And it's quickly revealed that they're both supposed to be offense and defense. Taijiri's quirk enables him to create barriers, and Kendo's quirk enables him to throw a much faster flurry of punches that can easily wear away at other people's defenses. And sure enough, Kendo, the first of the 2 that we see, sends Kirishima's flying while he's in his Red Riot Unbreakable form with 1 punch. So yeah, clearly he's pretty strong. And sure enough, Chijiri shows up and remarks that they are the spear and shield duo of the 8 Bullets, and that they're facing off against 2 shields. And sure enough, the two do start to begin arguing because Kendo wants to go all out, but Taijiri remembers that Overhaul pitted them together, much without Kendo's approval, might I add, to pit the 2 together because their offensive and defensive capabilities mirror one another perfectly, making them an unstoppable duo for the most part. So, but eventually, especially after Kendo tries to punch him, Taijiri gives in and lets him take on Fat Gum personally. And Kirishima is also a little bit scared because he's been completely overwhelmed by the fact that he just got knocked out with a single punch and thinks that he hasn't gotten stronger at all. But Fat Gum, in the midst of fighting Kendo, reminds him that he needs to stay unbreakable because he's a hero and that's what heroes do. So, but Kirishima's still having a bit of a problem internally because he thinks that he's starting to have a bit of a confidence problem because he just got himself knocked out and sent him flying into a wall, and that was in his most powerful attack mode, might I add. So he's quickly losing his confidence and is trying to remember why he even became a hero in the first place if he can't even protect people. And sure enough, it goes into a flashback for the most of the rest of the episode of Kirishima trying to actually become a much better, much stronger person. So back in middle school, Kirishima didn't have his red hair, by the way. He got that later in between middle school and high school. But back in middle school, Kirishima, he didn't have the best control over his quirk, but he had a strong sense of courage. He was a very chivalrous person because he looked up to his mentor, Crimson Riot, somebody that he's mentioned a couple of times, but we kind of sort of see him in this episode. Not really, but we kind of sort of see him. So he went to the same middle school as Mina, and the two didn't really interact much when they were in middle school, but they knew of each other. And here's the thing: Mina's the kind of person who can diffuse a situation no matter who it is. So her bubbly nature just enables her to basically dismantle any situation. And Kirishima initially tries to do this too, but with brute force rather than with words. So the two kind of mirror one another in that way. And Kirishima also remarks to his friends that one day he wants to one day become a hero, but he doesn't feel like his quirk is flash enough to actually do it. And sure enough, his friends kind of sort of dissuade him, pointing out that he really isn't a hero because normal guys like him won't become a hero. But they also point out that Mina is very much likely going to become a hero because not only does she have the personality for it, but she's also got a pretty good quirk to boot. So Kirishima, and sure enough, Kirishima begins to mull over whether or not he should sign up for UA's hero program, which is where he starts in the anime for him. But while he's there, he actually sees two girls from his class get attacked by a giant villain. Well, not so much attacked as they are, and confronted by a giant villain. And he tries to urge himself to go and fight, but he can't bring himself to do it. And eventually, Mina steps in and diffuses the situation, and the guy goes on his merry, and the villain goes on his merry way. So. And Kirishima, after realizing how much of a coward he really is, and also after remembering Bakugo and Deku's thing, which apparently he wasn't there for it, but he apparently knows of it. So he didn't know them personally at the time, and he also didn't know that they were the ones involved in the event, but he knows of the event itself. So as he points out, he realizes that he's a bit of a coward in that moment, and decides to give up on his idea of going to sign up for UA's hero program. As he's mulling over that, he accidentally knocks loose a little hologram thing, which plays an interview of Crimson Riot talking to an interviewer, and it's revealed that Crimson Riot actually is scared all the time as a hero, and points out that he's scared of dying, but he's scared more of seeing somebody else die. And it's that thing that motivates him, pushing himself to be past his fear to become a strong hero. And Kirishima, after seeing that, decides to become a much stronger hero. He works hard. He masters his quirk, and he eventually gets into UA, and where he actually dyes his hair to kind of sort of match Mina's a little bit. And Mina realizes it, and Mina meets him before school starts and asks and points it out to him, and also points out that she realizes that the incident with the hero must have messed him up a lot, and decides to keep a secret until he's ready to actually be more confident with himself and actually is the kind of hero he wants to be. And then he flashes back to the present, where Fat Gum is still taking punches from Kendo, might I add. He's been taking punches from Kendo for a while, and it's starting to wear him down. But what Kendo doesn't realize is that Fat Gum's fat quirk actually has a secondary purpose. So we've established how Fat Gum's quirk works. He's able to absorb any sort of blow into his body. But there's actually a secondary property of that he hasn't revealed until now, and admits to himself while he's fighting Kendo. So As it turns out, Fat Gum's quirk enables him to absorb kinetic energy and then release it in one massive burst, which he plans to use to take down both villains at once, but is concerned that he won't be able to absorb enough punches to actually do the job because he's already starting to get pretty tired. However, Kirishima, who has since gotten over himself, now decides that he needs to be a much better shield and protect everybody, and sure enough jumps in front of Fat Gum to take more of the punches, which, because of his newfound confidence boost, means that he's no longer getting knocked over by Kendo's punches and is able to actually hold his own and not go flying. And this gives Fat Gum the opportunity he needs to charge up his ultimate attack, and the two villains are both scared and unconcerned. Kendo's a bit scared because he realizes that there's a very good chance Fat Gum will be able to break through their defenses. But Tajiri is also unconcerned because his shield is actually quite unbreakable. And sure enough, Fat Gum actually is able to break through their shield. And as he does so, he remarks that they all made one fatal mistake, and that was underestimating Red Riot. And sure enough, punches them through their shield and sends both heroes flying into the wall. And that's where the episode ends. So, yeah. I think Kirishima has finally gotten his confidence back. He's still not entirely confident, as he points out in this episode. He was able to actually, he had gotten stronger, but apparently he felt it wasn't enough because he got sent flying with a punch. Although, to be fair, Kendo's quirk is kind of a little bit broken offensively because he's just able to break through any sort of defense that might actually be a threat. So basically he had a bit of a confidence issue because Kendo broke through his quirk and his ultimate attack. But after reminding himself of why he decided to become a hero in the first place, and why he decided to pursue a career as a hero in the first place, decides, you know what, if I'm going to be a shield, I'm going to be the best damn shield I've ever been. So, yeah, he gets his confidence back by the end, which is what his fight against the 8 bullets is supposed to be. But I don't think he's quite there yet. He's still, as it shows, there are times when his bravery falters because he still has a bit of a confidence issue. He doesn't feel like he's strong enough yet because everybody else has really flashy quirks that they're able to use, and he's just kind of But I do think he is going to work harder to become a hero going forward. But more importantly, as a plot development for this episode, they've actually taken out 5 of the 8 bullets, which means there's 3 left. So yeah, there's not much else left for them to do except for find Eri. I know that the guy from the start when they raided the place is one of them, which means there's only 2 left. But yeah, they gotta take down 2 more guys before they get to Eri and Overhaul. And Overhaul scares me a little bit because his quirk enables him to take things apart and put them back together, which means naturally he's going to have a very dangerous offense. Evident by the fact that he killed Magne when he was introduced early on in his arc. So he was able to kill Magne in an instant. So I'm a little bit scared of what he could actually do to a hero. It does a pretty good job of building that up. He's only ever used his quirk once on screen, but in that one use of his quirk, he completely obliterated a villain. So he's pretty dangerous offensively. So I'm a little bit scared of what's going to happen when they actually find him, but eventually find him they do because they do eventually have to take him down. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing what they actually do how they actually take him down somebody with offensive quirk, and also who the last 2 members of the 8 bullets are, and how it's going to tie into somebody's emotional arc. Because for the most part, that's been what these past 2 episodes are. It was about Tamaki facing off against 3 of the 8 bullets and finding his confidence. It was about Kirishima fighting another 2 of the 8 bullets and regaining his confidence. So I'm assuming there's going to be a running theme here where somebody's going to face off against the 8 bullets again and regain their confidence, if I had to guess. But in any case, that's my review of My Hero Academia. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks, so I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!